Welcome. Welcome. And if you're watching this in 2024, then Happy New Year. But not quite yet.
No.
It's Sunday morning, Paul.
It is. So what are we? We're just under 13 hours away from us being woken up by fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we'll be in bed. We always go to bed. We do. We don't make a fuss about the new year. And you know what? I was thinking, I was reflecting. Paul.
That was very... What's his name? I was going to say Vaughan Williams.
I was reflecting on...
Kenneth.
New Year.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about childhood and how everybody around me was making a fuss. New Year, blah, blah, blah. And I can remember thinking, what's the fuss? And I think I remember asking somebody why, and they go, well, it's New Year, isn't it? It's New Year. And I can remember as a child looking out of the window on New Year's Day thinking, well, it doesn't look any different.
No, well, it very often isn't it? So,
well, it isn't any different.
No, absolutely. It's apart from the fact that the calendar has turned, and the calendar has turned on a calendar we have created, you know.
But I was kind of expecting something magical to happen at New Year's Eve.
Aww.
And I do remember a couple of New Year's Eves, many, many years ago, well before I met you, that were really good. Just a couple.
Oh, right. So there's been none since you met me.
Not really.
Oh dear, there we are.
Well, when have we spent a fabulous New Year's Eve together? Go on, name one.
We had a really nice time at Bill and Jenny one year. We went out. We were invited by my then boss and his partner Jenny Seagrove to their house. We had a really nice time then.
Yes, that was quite nice.
And actually, we had a nice New Year with Howard and
Alex.
Alex Best. Yeah.
No, that was a nice New Year's Eve, yes.
And we've
had a couple.
Yeah, we've had a couple
in 30 years.
30 years.
No, what I'm talking about is, you know, when I was very young, in my late teens, early 20s, going out with a group of friends, you know, and having a sort of wild evening. Those were fun.
Right.
What I call fun.
What I call fun.
Now what I call fun is going to bed at 10:30 and sleeping straight through.
Having slept on the sofa for 2 hours before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's fun for me.
Yeah.
It's fun to feel alive the next day.
I was reflecting...
That's the difference though, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, if you get completely and utterly blasted on alcohol and whatever else takes your fancy, it takes 2 days to recover now.
Yeah, which is good in Scotland because they have 2 days holiday. They have the second as a holiday.
Do they?
As well as the first, as we have a holiday.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a cheek.
So, I was reflecting yesterday at our Christmas social, which we'll come on to later. Not our Christmas social, the Christmas social at the allotment.
No, because we don't have a Christmas social, do
well,
we?
We did. So I was reflecting that actually from about the age of 13, for I think the next 4 years certainly, I was working with Mum as a waiter at the Old Government House Hotel and earning sort of decent money on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, because New Year's Eve there'd be a big function in the dining room at the Old Government House Hotel. Downstairs in Barbarella's, the nightclub, there'd be one. Then in the sort of what we call the banqueting room, there would be another. Centenary bar, there would be another. The back bar, there would be another.
Yeah, all right. I get the picture.
There were sort of 5 different sort of New Year's Eve events going on at the Old Government House Hotel, and we would be, you know, Mum would station us and saying, right, you're doing this room until that time, you're doing this room until that time. And then it got to about sort of like 1 o'clock, 1:30, and all the sort of, the meal part and the coffees and all of the petit fours and all of that had been done. And we could go into Barbarella, the nightclub, and sort of party, even though I was well underage. So, yeah, that was mine.
Oh.
So actually, I do remember those. And I remember when I was very young, Dad would always string up a net of balloons in the lounge, in our living room. And there'd be a big party going on, and then they'd sort of drop the balloons. And of course, in my mind, as a young child, sort of being quite short, I imagined these balloons falling from, a great height, and there was so much excitement when the balloon net was taken away and the balloons fell. Where actually, the room wasn't that high, and I think the balloons, I think most tall men were sort of already sort of nudging their heads on the balloons throughout the night, and they only dropped a couple of feet.
Well, I think the explanation is it was a simple pleasure for the hobbit people of Guernsey. And all of you being so small.
Oh, we're so lucky that there's been a influx of migrants into Guernsey, so that the average height can be increased over the decades. Yeah, with intermarrying of outsiders, Yeah, so gone are the days where you walk into a pub in Guernsey and everyone just stops silent and looks at you. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
Why would people stop and look at you?
Well, because you might have been tall, in the 1940s, and people looked at you and thought, oh, he's tall.
Well, people looked at me when I first went to Guernsey because I had blue hair.
Yes, you did.
I had blue hair.
You turned quite a few thousand heads that
I was
weekend.
doing blue hair before anybody else was doing blue hair. I think you'll find.
Yeah. I think you were doing lots of things before everybody else was doing them. Yeah. Even though, of course, you're only 39.
39. Anyway, let's get on with the show, shall we?
Sunday chat!
That's right, Paul.
Somebody said you didn't say that last week.
Well, they didn't watch to the end.
Didn't watch to the end.
No,
there were two.
That's right.
There
and
were
we
two.
all know what the end means, don't we?
Bananas.
If you have just tuned in and you're perhaps watching for the first time and you've never seen a Richard and Paul show before, welcome, bloody welcome.
Yeah, they're mostly switched off already.
And also bloody welcome to newer subscribers who have recently joined us over the Christmas period. We do hope you find everything you're looking for here.
Everything you're looking for.
Not everything.
Not the OnlyFans things. No, you'll find that on our OnlyFans channel.
No, we don't have an OnlyFans channel.
Don't we?
Thank you very much.
I did notice, because we have this light here, as you know, which our coffee members bought us, so that Richard can sort of do the light in the room so that it's correct. I did notice, I went away for a day or so, and I came back to find that the light was in the bedroom. And I wondered whether you'd started up something special.
Shucks, you found me out. No, I moved it on Christmas Day.
Oh, right, okay.
So it wasn't in our way in the dining room, Paul.
Yeah, excuses. If you find his hidden OnlyFans site, let me know. I do notice that you're sort of very sort of, fresh and daisy-like at the moment. Maybe you're needing to keep your looks up.
Or maybe Father Christmas bought me a course of Botox. Not really. I can actually move my face. It's fully movable.
It is, yeah. We can see all those wrinkles when you do. Look at those.
That's why I don't laugh.
I know.
Yeah, don't we know?
Oh,
somebody
dear.
who laughs, somebody who doesn't. Let's move on with the show. So we're going to kick off by saying a big welcome to everybody, as we just have before.
I was just going to say we done that.
Yeah, all right, calm down.
I'm going to have some of my coffee.
Have your coffee. I know I'm going to have in a minute. But that comes with the thank yous. And we'd like to say a big thank you to Courtney and Dave for our lovely gifts, which consisted of this absolute beauty tin of tea. English tea shop, organic luxury tea collection.
That's mine.
Well, it's both of ours. We'll open it and show them the...
And it's lovely. It's all embossed.
It's gorgeous.
It's absolutely lovely. It's a fantastic tin. And inside...
It's like an advent calendar.
It's like a
tea.
little advent calendar.
Oh no, because it's not an advent calendar of tea, because you can get one of those, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Vivi's had that, I think.
Yeah.
So it's got little windows and it's just glorious. And they've got little... Inside here is more little drawings and things. I just think it's...
And the thing I love about it is a tin, and that will be used for other things. The other tin of delights that you gifted to us, which is mine.
That's ours, and this is his.
A tin of Lindor, my favourite. And just look at the prettiness.
Oh my God, there's still some left.
I've been good.
Yeah, unlike the Roses chocolates.
No, we haven't got Roses.
Oh,
They're
what is it? Quality Street.
Paul. This is not a paid promotion. But look at the gorgeousness of that. I mean, it's rude not to, really. I'm going to have my favourite one, which is salted caramel.
Ooh.
Well, they're all my favourites, actually.
He adores Linda.
All of them.
Yeah.
But I have had quite a few, actually, and we had a few on Christmas Day. And I've got that box that you bought me, which I can use to replenish.
Yes. So that was bought for you. Actually, it was bought for you by
Twist
a coffee supporter.
and pop.
Yeah. What? What, the whole thing?
You don't bite into a Lindor. You put the whole thing in the mouth and let it melt. Let it become one with you.
Yeah, no. Bit too sweet for me, Lindor.
And also thank you, Courtney and Dave, for our lovely gift card.
Which came in a fabulous tin again.
Gorgeous tin. Love the tins.
Yeah, he's loving the tins. Of course, Quality Street doesn't come in a tin anymore. It comes in a ugly plastic box, plastic tin. So a fresh one was opened on Christmas Day, and that was shared with our friends. We had 2 friends over. And then it was put on the side. And then the other day I thought to myself, oh, I know, I quite fancy a chocolate. So I went and I looked inside. There were about 8 chocolates left. I think the mice had eaten those, had they? Where had they got in?
Yes, Paul, we had an invasion of chocolate-loving mice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look.
Fortunately, there was one that I like the sort of solid chocolate block, and there was a solid chocolate block.
You sound like a parent.
Well, I'm not.
Look,
well, not knowingly.
It's Christmas.
Anyway.
Chocolate will be consumed. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean that was a whole. Well, when I say a whole tin of Quality Streets, of course, in the old days the tins were this deep. And someone said to me, no, they weren't that
yes,
deep.
They were.
I said, yes, they were. And I sent them a clip of the Royal Family, because the Royal Family, which is a comedy show, I was watching this particular clip the other day, and in it was, behind Jim Royal, was a big box of a big tin
Why
of
have you got
Quality
your hands
Street.
in front of your face,
Oh,
Paul?
big tin of Quality Street, because the tin was as big as my head.
But you can do it here, without shadowing your face.
The tin was as
First
big as
rule
his
of
head.
YouTubing, don't cover your face when you're talking.
Second rule of YouTubing, don't care less.
Third rule of YouTubing, that one can never eat one Lindor.
Yeah,
Just like one can never eat one Quality Street. I mean, I go in there, Paul, you take 6.
I did. Yesterday I went in there where there was about 5 left, and I brought him I brought him one, and I brought myself one.
Stingy.
And he just looked at me.
So stingy.
I mean, we do have another tin. I think that needs to be saved. Maybe have one every
You have to look at the
week
best before
for the
date.
next year. Yeah,
Might-
that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it might go off next week.
somebody bought some mince pies at the beginning of December, and their best before date was the 22nd of December.
No.
Yeah. I mean, you know, mince pies, they're supposed to have a best before date. I would have thought that goes at least a month or so past Christmas. Yeah, because there's so many, aren't there?
Well, it's like those alcohol gels at work that we received from the NHS. They arrived and they'd all gone out of date already.
Yeah.
I mean,
ridiculous.
no.
You enjoying that?
Oh, God, yeah.
Actually, your scarf sort of matches the Lindor tin, doesn't it? Is that on purpose?
No.
And my jacket, or shacket as it is.
Anyway, let's get on with the show. So we also want to say a big thank you to our coffee supporters for your support. Thank you. And also to let you know that any money we received recently is going to go towards a new tripod. I've been researching. It's going to have to be a budget tripod because, tell ya,
They're expensive.
oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm not paying 400 quid for a tripod.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no. So I'm doing some research. I'll let you know when I bought it. So, delicious. Let's do the segment we normally do at the beginning, which is Richard and Paul's weather report. Paul, what has the weather been like?
Having been dry for quite a spell and mild, it got wet and now it's getting colder. And boy, has it been windy.
Well, we had Storm Gerrit, didn't we? And then we had a low pressure system,
Yeah.
which wasn't described as a storm, but seemed windier than Storm Gerrit was.
Yeah.
Last night the wind was whistling down the chimney.
It was. I wonder whether the cowl that we've now got on the chimney somehow exacerbates the noise and bounces it back down.
Well, it doesn't seem to buff it anymore.
No.
It used to be
no.
boom,
Yeah.
boom. It doesn't buff it, it just makes a more continuous sound, doesn't it? Anywho, there we go. Yeah, it's been a mixed week. I mean, we also had unexpected rain at one point.
Well, you said, yeah, I was down with
It
Vanessa.
chucked it down
You said
for
it
about
did.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Anywho, that's the weather report. So today is also changeable, changeable.
And it is Sunday. We're recording this on Sunday.
Yeah, it's changeable. We had a bright start. It is cooler. There was a bit of condensation on the windows this morning.
Yeah.
And
He was doing a lot of wiping.
I had to do quite a bit of wiping of windows with a little towelette that I use. And yeah, it's clouded over now and it's breezy and cool.
What's a towelette?
A small towel.
Isn't that a hand towel?
It's a hand towel or a towelette.
Sounds a bit like toilet to me. Yeah.
So, lovely. So, Paul, how was our Christmas?
It was as expected. It was
Quiet.
fine and nicely quiet. And we had a lovely Christmas lunch, didn't we? With a new nut roast recipe I tried. It was
Which wasn't that successful in
Well,
terms of staying together.
It was more moist than I would want, so it couldn't really be sliced. It had to be spooned, but boy did it taste fantastic.
Tasted lovely.
It really, really did. So I think I'm going to have to cut down a little bit on the celery to reduce some of the moistness. But yeah, it was absolutely lovely. And I make the reason that I don't like putting fillings in our nut roast. If we're going to have a nut and seed roast, I want it to be nuts and
Pudding.
seeds. Yes,
you
I'm going
like
to.
You said
I'm going
pudding fillings. Then.
Thank you, Richard, for bringing up my speech impediment
Well, no, it sounded
in
like you
front
said-
of the millions of viewers that we have
It
in
sounded like you
Iceland
said
alone.
Pudding fillings.
Well, that's fine.
And I was
Pudding
thinking
fillings.
pudding fillings.
Pudding fillings. So, like breadcrumbs, I don't like putting breadcrumbs into things. So ours is sort of onions, carrots, celery, mixed nuts, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, yeast flakes, yeast extract, and bouillon powder, and sometimes mushrooms. And it tasted absolutely delicious. I can't speak today. Absolutely delicious. It sort of was a bit more like a haggis texture, wasn't it?
Well, I've never had haggis, so I don't know.
Haven't you?
No, I certainly have not.
Yeah, I did years
Disgusting.
ago. So yeah, it was delicious, and we had our parsnips and Gruyere, which were absolutely lovely. Obviously, all of the roast potatoes, Brussels sprouts, carrots. It was delicious, and our kale. And our kale, I think, was the only thing that we grew this year, because everything else we had to buy. And our friends, a neighbour and her sister came over. They had been at the Fox pub for an hour or so beforehand.
That's our local pub, the Fox.
Which people will know if you watch A Week at the Plot. And then they came here, and I had a sort of I bet with myself how long it would be before they started bickering. And I thought it would be about an hour and a half, but actually it turned out to only be about an hour, wasn't it?
It's extremely entertaining when they do bicker, as sisters do. So we had the same on Boxing Day.
Yeah, not the bickering and the sisters, the reheated leftovers.
Leftovers on Boxing Day, and then it was back to work for me.
And then there
back
was
to work for you.
There was still some more leftovers, and what I did then is I mashed all those up and I put them into a bolognese sauce, and we had that over pasta one evening.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was lovely.
Bloody lovely, as they say up north.
But yeah, we had a lovely, nice, quiet Christmas, and we had the fire on, even though it was relatively mild.
It was very mild. Very, very mild.
So that was good. And then Boxing Day, which was relatively quiet. It was sort of our only day not doing too much, wasn't it?
Yeah, I read in the afternoon. I read The Chrysalids. Fantastic. If you've not read it yet, for our read-along, highly recommended. Loved the end. And then, yeah, back to work.
And I went down to just do a bit of work at the plot and ended up doing a bed. One of the beds needed a complete weed, so I did that. And yeah, then it was back to work. So you've highlighted your week on your vlogs, I assume?
Yes.
So my week was busy. It was busy. So on the Wednesday and Thursday, both days I drove down to Cranley in Surrey and back again, because the shop in Cranley, for Earth's sake, closed on the Saturday before Christmas. So there was a big stock take of everything that is still on the shelves and in the little storeroom at the back, and everything has now been removed from the shop and taken to one of Vanessa's barns and is being stored in the barn there, prior to it sort of reopening in a couple of months' time. So it was really, really busy. I left quite early in the morning, but because it was sort of in between Christmas and New Year, the traffic was very light driving down there. So it only took me about an hour to get down there. Coming back, the traffic was heavier and the M25 was a bit congested, so it took a bit longer to come back, but certainly nothing like the sort of 2.5 hours that it usually takes me, so that was great. And then Friday was a day at my desk, catching up on a whole week of things and doing admin and things like that. And yesterday was busy as well. That's Saturday, because we had our Christmas social in the shed at the allotment, in the communal shed. So we needed to prepare for that in the morning. So 10:30 I was down there with various others, getting the shed all ready and, you know, decorations up and things like that. And then our Christmas event started at 4 o'clock, and I came home about 6:30, and there was still maybe, I don't know, 12, 14 people there who will have, you know, tidied up a bit, and we'll finish up tidying up that shed today. But it was a really lovely event, and people brought things they baked, or, you know, mince pies. There were some amazing gluten-free mince pies, lovely and crisp. So yeah, and little tartlets of camembert and cranberry, delicious. yeah, it was lovely.
Good.
It was lovely.
Good. Fantastic. So, let's move on, shall we, Paul?
And that's why we're recording this on Sunday, because, yeah, it's just been busy.
Yeah. Is it too bright? Are we looking too bright?
I think we're looking all right.
Because the sun's come out. It's ruining my lighting. Is it too bright? Oh, I don't know. It'll do. I can always tone it down in post-production. So, that's it really. Apart from, what have we watched on television this week, Paul?
Various things. Like Invitation to a Murder.
No. So I have absolutely no recollection of watching this film.
So I sort of try and keep a list of the things that we watch through the week, so that when we've got the list. And I said Invitation to the Murder, and he went, "No, I didn't see that. You must have seen that on your own." I went, No, you watched it. You might not watch the ending, but you did watch it. No, I don't remember it. And then I explained a bit of what happened, these group of people.
And I remember one bit.
He remembered one bit. So it was on Channel 5. It was a sort of like
Oh, hold on. Poor acting.
The acting wasn't fabulous.
Oh, the woman. There was a woman with blonde hair. Was that it? Who was that? The woman with blonde hair? English?
Did she have blonde hair?
And I said she had a strange accent. She sounded like an American trying to sound like a British.
There's been a few things like that this week.
Well, so there you go. Exactly. It all blurs into one eventually, Paul.
He did fall asleep, but I did actually get the sort of the crux of the story, and I got the denouement as well. So yeah.
We finished Invasion,
which Richard's rather horrified that there's a second season. Really? Because I think you've had enough of it now, haven't you?
Well, I mean, La Famille Stupide. Really?
I want to know what happened to Sam Neill.
Oh yeah, he was in it at the beginning, wasn't he?
He was in episode 1. And right at the end of episode 1, he's standing in this sort of cornfield, and something jabs him in the back of the neck. And that's the last we saw of Sam Neill.
I thought it was an odd show because it was filled with people doing stuff that you were thinking, no, don't do that, no, don't do that, don't go there, don't shout, don't let the children scream.
So, yeah.
No, very annoying, but sort of enjoyable.
It was an interesting storyline, but, yeah.
We watched that ghost story, lot number 249, didn't we? Which was apparently was it an adaptation?
I thought it was new.
Was it new?
I've got no idea.
I don't know.
God, how dull can it be? I mean, really. This was, and we read the reviews beforehand, and it was heralded as a sort of great, spine-chilling, mystery. And it was...
It didn't chill my spine.
Did nothing.
Right now.
Nothing for me.
No.
And considering the Mark Gatiss piece that we saw, new piece we saw last year, which was really great in the church with...
yes.
What's it? That was brilliant. This was sort of like a pale imitation. It really was. Unless we both completely missed the suspense and spine-tingling nature of it. I don't know.
No, didn't do anything for me either. We watched the Pottery Throwdown. Which
Great
was
Pottery Throwdown.
A sort of celebrity pottery Christmas doodah. That was okay.
I knew one of the celebrities. I sort of guessed another one. I guessed it wrong. It was quite fun. Yeah, it was quite fun.
Watched a great documentary on Studio 54.
Yeah.
That's the discotheque in New York from the 70s. And that was quite fascinating because it told you the story of its downfall.
Yeah, of its of its ascension to being the top discotheque in the world, and then its downfall.
Yeah, and you could kind of see it coming, couldn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because you knew they weren't maybe doing what they needed to do in terms of running a business legally and officially and all of that.
And efficiently.
Yeah, it was kind of, But it was fascinating.
It was. I mean, it's about two high school friends who start doing various things, and then they start a nightclub, and it becomes the most, I would say it's mostly the most renowned nightclub in the world even today, even though it closed after 18 months or something. A fascinating documentary, and I've stayed at a number of Schrager hotels over the years, and I didn't realise it was the same guy, or one of the same guys, who started Studio 54. So yeah,
it was fun to watch, interesting to watch. So there you go. We also watched another documentary on Noel Coward, didn't we?
Yeah.
I don't think we saw all of it.
No.
But I mean, gosh, that man was talented.
He was, and
his performances, I think, are when you really see his talent at work. The pace of his delivery, the diction, the speedy delivery combined with the diction and the humour, just superb.
Yeah, and one of those sort of amazing raconteurs, really. As well as just an incredibly creative person and clearly fun, and he didn't come from that posh background, but he created this persona basically.
Yeah,
it was fascinating.
Yeah, very interesting.
Another raconteur that we all know so well is Peter Ustinov, and we watched him in Evil Under the Sun, didn't we? Which we've seen several times before. But yeah, as Poirot, but very, bumbling Poirot.
I don't think he's the standout in that movie for me.
No.
For me, the standout is Maggie Smith.
Absolutely.
Her character and, again, the delivery of her lines. It's almost, she does this sort of almost throwaway. She throws the lines away, doesn't she? And they just come out in this wonderful flow, which is so natural
for her.
Yeah, just love her. Well, that's kind of her style, isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah. We also watched a Carry On film, Carry On Loving, one of my favourites, which centres around the Bliss wedding agency.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just hilarious,
and so over the top, and the humour just would not be allowed.
No.
In today's society, and it's so interesting that we're still watching these things because they're almost like a time capsule of the time.
It's all boobs and bums,
Boobs and bums and melons. And half-naked girls and
of course mixed messages, because you got one person talking about something and you got another person thinking they're talking about something else, so you've got a whole load of mixed messages going on.
But it's also interesting how these programs have to have warnings
nowadays
before them. And they make such a meal out of the warning. Why not just put a thing on the screen saying some viewers may be offended by the content? Thank you. That's it. You don't need to say and describe what the actual
content is that people might be offended by.
Just say some people might be offended.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And just let people enjoy a different time when things were a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, when we watch murder...
Not necessarily cruel.
No, they weren't. They weren't. And very often when you look at the women in Carry On films, they're quite powerful characters.
In positions of control very often.
And I think that's really important, and they're also sort of steering as well. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's not
And-
every situation in a Carry On film, but very many of them.
And also, it also shows women being quite strong physically as well.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
that scene where the Patsy Rowland character takes charge of the
Wrestler.
Gripper, and chucks him out of the window.
Oh, dear,
so
that's so
you know,
funny.
it wasn't depicting women as helpless creatures, which a lot of movies of that time did.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, how many horror films have you seen of that time where it's always a girl, you know, being taken by the monster, and she's so weak she can't do anything to resist the monster's strength. You know, it's all, you know, Carry On films didn't do that.
No.
You know, or if they did, it would be done in a very, very comical.
Picture postcard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the UK, I don't know. I think they must be sort of everywhere. We you know, when we went on holiday, we got these sort of bosomy bummy picture
They were
postcards,
by
which
a
were all
specific
naughty.
artist, weren't they?
Yeah, I think there
Not
were
sure of the
various
artist's
artists
names.
by the end of it, and they were saucy. You know, they were saucy seaside postcards, and you get it, and it would be a bit of fun, and you know, to say it was innocent is most probably wrong, but they sort of were innocent. You know, they were things where we used to watch things where adults and kids used to really laugh at things, and the adults would get certain things, and you know, certain things would go over kids' heads, but actually it was family entertainment, and it was all a bit bawdy and saucy and melony, but you know, don't we need that nowadays, I think.
Well, I think it's interesting how children are supposedly protected in today's society.
With their
And
smartphones.
shielded from, exactly. Children have more access to stuff they probably shouldn't be seeing on the internet. So, you know, Carry On film, if you are an innocent, if you are a child and you're an innocent, boobs and bottoms and saucy noises and whistles and all of that made you giggle.
Yeah.
You know, kids are
I
far
saw
more
kids.
exposed to sexualised things.
Absolutely. And sexual
Nowadays.
violence as well.
Nowadays than they ever were then. It wasn't sexualised. Carry On
No.
films weren't sexualised, certainly to children. You know, yet at the time, I think there was a backlash against it.
Certainly Mary Whitehouse sort of thought that they were, you know, a bit too much.
But nowadays, there's no comparison. I mean, it's far more dangerous nowadays.
Yeah,
I
I think.
In fact, pop music is far more dangerous to children now than Carry On films were back then.
Well, there's that. I saw a video of a guy, his daughter, he was in a car, his daughter was in the back of the car, he was static in the car, and he was singing along to this song, and as he was singing along to the song, he then realised that there were some swear words coming up, so he turned the volume down so that his child in the back wouldn't listen to it, but his child in the back was singing along and sang along with the swear words
Already
as
knew
well.
them.
You know, so yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on. We watched the Christmas special of Vera.
We did.
Vera is back. Have you murdered somebody, love? Because if you have, I'll find out.
And it was
okay.
I enjoyed it. I really like Vera. I thought some of the
so
accents
do I.
from the actors were Newcastle rather than Northumberland. They hadn't quite reached Northumberland. But, you know, we can't talk. But then we're not actors. Well, I'm certainly not, anyway.
All speak for yourself.
Exactly. So it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. And we saw the last of two characters who, when the series starts again on Sunday the 7th, I think it is, there'll be... those characters will be gone, and an old character comes back, and in fact an old character came back in the Christmas special as well. So I wonder how long they can continue doing Vera.
I think that it's had its time. I really do. And I think she's looking tired. And I think she's finding it more and more difficult as she gets older to be away from her hometown. She lives in Kent, doesn't she? Brenda Blethyn. So she has to spend, the best part of 6 months up north filming Vera away from her home. So I wouldn't want to do that now.
But it's also this thing with many actors, and I was listening to an interview with Sian Phillips this week, which was really interesting on Radio 4. And, basically Sian Phillips was saying that, she wants to act until she dies, and she'd quite like to die whilst she's acting because she'll have had a full life, of doing what she wanted to do. So I hope it does continue. It's like one of those series you can't really see how Vera can continue without Vera.
Read the room, Paul.
Yeah.
Read the room. At the end of the day, she's been saying in interviews for the past couple of years, I think this will be my last one. She's going to finish doing it. And I think it's run its course, because also the differences I noticed in this latest one is that we didn't get exactly what we wanted. She wasn't put in great peril, slight peril, but you knew that they were going to be there and backing her up. And also, some of the interview scenes were a little subdued.
Yeah, the interview scenes when they're in the interview room and she normally, throws a bit of a tantrum and goes out and then comes back, and there's that usual denouement of some sort of critical bit of information will come up near the end, as it did with this, and then the whole thing gets wrapped up.
We also watched 2007's version of Hairspray.
Yeah.
With John Travolta and Michelle Pfeiffer.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen that version. I've seen the original version, the John Waters version, with Divine and Ricky Lake, who was in this version as well.
Was she?
Yeah.
Well, who was she in
She
this?
was in the audience at the end.
Oh, she was one of the William Morris agents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that
And
now.
John Waters was in it as well.
Right.
He played the Flasher.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really uplifting, really colourful, really tight. I mean, those routines, they were comparable with some of the dance routines in Greece.
Yeah.
Which are also very tight. Colourful, good performances, just generally really fun to watch.
It took me a few songs to get into it. I don't know Hairspray. I've never seen it. It took me a few songs to get into it, and I really did enjoy it. And by the end, I was like, oh yeah, they've won out against the baddies. So yeah.
Yeah, great version.
Watch.
Certainly, I don't know why we've never seen it. I guess, musicals probably aren't the thing we go for.
No, we've experienced so many over the years.
But it was well crafted.
Yeah.
It was well crafted, just like Grease is well crafted. Although you'd never seen Grease until a few years ago.
Well, until I met you, yeah. And we watched it at your mum and dad's house. Yeah. One Christmas, actually, we watched it.
I don't think it was at my mum and dad's house.
Oh, your dad's, yeah.
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 So, yeah, there you go. That's what we watched.
No.
Yeah?
No. Murder is Easy.
Oh, Murder. Well, we didn't really watch it, did
The
we?
big Agatha Christie on the BBC, Murder is Easy, didn't really do it for me. There's a great thing in, or there's this, rules you should follow, which is show, don't tell, in films and books and that type of thing. And it's about showing the story rather than the story being narrated. Now, of course, there are many stories where there is a narrator and that narrator really drives the whole thing along. But what we had in this is we had a series of episodes of characters explaining either what had happened or what was about to happen. And it just didn't do it for me. We watched the first part and we haven't watched the second part yet, but we've recorded it and I think it will we'll watch it at some point, but It's not a go-to, and it's nothing to do with diverse casting, because I think that diverse casting should just happen. It doesn't. You don't need to change something. Let's just have diversity in casting. If this actor is an actor, it doesn't matter, what that actor is. Let's just have a good actor in a role. Let's not try and create a whole load of backstory to it.
For me, it wasn't any of those things. For me, it was to do with the styling.
Yeah.
It was to do with the colour.
Very vibrant.
It was to do with the lack of light and shade in the design, in the lighting and design of the piece.
It all felt very colourful and full on.
Yeah, all right, you've had your say. Thank you very much, Paul. It was to do with... It didn't feel... It had no light and shade.
No.
There were certain scenes that you'd have expected to have been quite dull and, had some character about them. It was all very samey. There was no... it just didn't didn't capture my attention. Every scene looked like it was slightly dreamlike.
Yeah, it did really.
In terms of the lighting, in terms of the brightness of it, the fuzziness of it. It didn't seem very clear. So there was one scene where there was bright sunlight shining in through the room. And when you've got bright sunlight coming through clean windows, because the majority of those windows were clean, it's very sharp, it's very defined, and you get real contrast. There was no contrast. It was as though the contrast had been brought down, so everything was sort of level. So whether it was all done in post-production, in terms of styling it, I don't know. But it just didn't look right, and it was jarring for me. So that was my main concern. And I felt the lead actor wasn't particularly convincing to me. I didn't believe his eyes. There were quite a few shots of him going...
Close up, yeah.
Going like that. And I thought, I just don't believe you. There was something behind his eyes which wasn't giving me the full story. There were gaps,
But give him his due. He's a really good packer. He packs his clothes in suitcases really, really well. Because we see him on a train with two suitcases, I think he's got. One sort of medium-sized one and one smaller one. And in that, he's got obviously the clothes that he's wearing, a really nice suit that he's wearing, which is all explained because his father is an oil baron in Nigeria. So the fact that he's got really, really good clothes and really good education is all explained, and talks proper, if you like, in Agatha Christie terms. Then he's got another suit in there, full suit and shirt, white shirt. Then he's got another suit,
dinner suit
in there. Yeah, he's got a dinner suit in there with the bow tie and everything. Then he's got a second suit. So that's one he's wearing, two full woolen suits in his suitcase, plus the dinner suit. Plus he's got a tennis whites kit in there, hasn't he? He's got full tennis whites. So he can go and play tennis. I mean, this guy is a genius when it comes to packing. Whether he actually solves the murder at the end of the day, I don't know.
God.
But he should do packing courses because it's brilliant.
So there you go.
And shoes, of course, he's got different shoes. For every, set of different clothes, he's got different shoes. And socks.
Well, I reckon I could pack all of that quite well.
Oh, you couldn't. Not with those thick woolen suits and things.
That's it now. Thank you for watching today's episode.
Sunday Chat!
And all that's left for us to say is we wish you a very, very happy New Year. That's it.
Is that your Dead Queen impersonation?
We do hope you've had a very happy Christmas and a very, very happy New Year and a prosperous 2024. Thank you.
I think you need to learn to speak like King Charles now, don't you?
No.
Need to move with the times, like Agatha Christie adaptations. Move with the times.
No, the Queen will always be alive to me.
There we are. There we are.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
We will see you
Goodbye.
in 2024.
Goodbye. Which is the year of the dragon, by the way.
The year of the dragon. Is it a fire dragon year? If it is, that's good for me. Yeah.
Well, apparently it's good for sheep.
Woo! Sheep!
Yeah.
Sheep! I love sheep.
So I'm a sheep. I'm a fire sheep. Yeah. That's why you like me.
I know. Yeah.
So we're saying goodbye now. Goodbye.
We are.
Take care. Toodle pip. Au revoir. Bienvenue. Willkommen.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Bye.